Hello, everyone. It's Stacy from Achievers Prep. Welcome to another edition of It's All Education, the video and audio podcast. I have a special guest here with me today. He is the phenomenal and and look, I have all these adjectives. We're not going to go there. I'm going to tell you this is a great person for you all to know. He's coming with us today to speak on some spiritual matters, because we have a series called the Spiritual Growth Series. And within that Spiritual Growth Series, we also address mental health and mental health awareness. And the person I have here with me today is a tremendous advocate in that area and in that field, and also a person I respect immensely. So without further ado, the next voice you will hear will be that of Cornelius Hill. Cornelius, take it away.
But I'm grateful today to be here with you on It's All Education.
You and I just finished a recording, and you were doing what is called Capri Cares, right? And during that recording, we were speaking about a topic that you gave today. And that topic, can you talk a little bit about that topic? And then we will continue our conversation from Capri Cares, and we'll continue that conversation here today on It's All Education. Can you tell us about that topic and what that topic was about?
Well, the topic, I do hashtags, and the hashtags was don't overlook it, and something else was birth, and us, exhorting or giving some type of extrapolation around that topic. Capri Cares for me is our mental health motivation daily, Monday through Friday, because we are a church that embraces mental health. We've become licensed in the state of Tennessee, or certified, let me say that, certified as a mental health recovery, substance abuse recovery congregation. So the state of Tennessee has identified us as one of those churches that take mental health seriously and want to offer some type of help and structure and bring some awareness to the community. So that's why I do Capri Cares. That's why Capri Cares is there for me. And, we've had some situations that have arisen in the life of the church and the congregants where we kind of overlooked it and always told people, just go pray about it. Go pray about it. Yeah, there comes a time when prayer is always necessary, but you might need something else.
Right.
Listen, it's interesting. If you let me go down this, get on my soapbox just for a smidgen, and I get off of it. You don't go tell people to pray about their blood pressure. You don't go tell people to pray about their diabetes. You don't go tell people to pray about their cancer, and that's it. They have medicines. So why is it that we tell people to pray about the mind, which is physical and physiological, but then when it comes, or your brain, but when it comes time to pray, talk about diabetes, high blood pressure, all these other chronic illnesses, we don't tell them to just pray. We encourage medicine. We encourage visitation. We encourage doctor visits. We encourage the medical scientific profession to help curtail those things. So I think we had a space where we can truly start encouraging, equipping, engaging, and inviting people to the table to really become more conscious about their mental health. And just like cancer, and just like diabetes, and just like a headache, you just don't pray about that. You take something forward if it's needed and necessary.
And that's why I do what I do. It's because it's all education. It's about educating people. And that's what it is. Spiritual education as well. Educating them to let them know that, yes, you can pray, but you need to take some action as well.
Right.
Take some action as well. Praying is an action, yes, but then take some further action and get the help that is needed, right?
And the help is there. We have been very, very slowful, possibly ashamed to reach out in the community in which you and I were raised, because we just didn't have we didn't have a good handle on it in previous generations, and really getting a better handle on it now. But even with our Olympians and some of our individuals in the athletic arena and realm, they've come out and talked about mental health, and
That's
with
right.
superstars and mega stars and wealthy people and rich people whose death have been, by suicide. Like there's a push toward this now. You can have all the money in the world, but if you snap, you can have all the friends, fortune, and fame in the world, but if snap, and I know we shouldn't say that, in the technical sense, but just if you just go off the deep end and look what happened. So
Right.
I'm ready for the church, we're not stopping prayer, but we might need appeal.
Right. And your hashtag this morning on Capri Cares was so poignant, because your hashtag on Capri Cares this morning was hashtag don't overlook, don't
Yeah,
overlook it.
don't overlook it. That's right.
Don't overlook it, because that could apply to so many different things, but specifically when we talk about blessings,
Yeah.
as I said on Capri Cares this morning, if you overlook something, you may be overlooking a blessing. You may be overlooking a blessing yet to come, a blessing in the moment. You could miss the moment if you overlook something in the moment. And we also talked about being reactionary and having a response. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Well, we're going to react when the light comes on. I automatic, in the dark space, I close my eyes. That's a reaction. I mean, reactions, you don't really have much control over that reaction. That just happens. That's the happening. You wasn't expecting it, or even if you were expecting it, it just happens. It's that response phase that usually 9 times out of 10, that response usually is the determining factor of people believing in you or trying to discredit you. And we've all been guilty of having inappropriate responses. I mean, I'm still guilty. You're guilty. And in those inappropriate responses, of course, there's reconciliation, forgiveness of self-awareness, self-actualization. There's a lot of components and compartments that we go through morally, mentally, when we look at our responses. I remember Peter's response. He cut somebody in a response. Like his response was to cut. I mean, he literally caused harm, inflicted pain on someone because of his response. Now, his response possibly was warranted because, they were, quote unquote, had bum rushed Jesus, and Peter was the hothead and had a blade, but his response. But here's what I love about that story. Jesus said, put up that sword, because he who lives by that will die by that. So even in our responses that are part of the reactions, there's lessons to be learned in every response.
And Peter, if you will, now I am not a minister, but from that, what I took from that story, or what I took from that when I read about that and learned about that in the Bible, is that Peter had to be conditioned. Peter had to be conditioned to give a different reaction. So what Jesus was teaching was, he was basically pruning Peter so that he would have a different response and a different reaction in that same scenario, by explaining that if you live by the sword, you'll die by the sword. So I think we were alluding to that earlier with Capri Cares, but you want to talk about that a little bit more, about how we can practice, and we can condition ourselves to have a different reaction that gives us a better and more positive response.
That's what practice is. Practice helps us with our response. That's why we practice. Larry Bird, 500 free throws every morning when he was playing. So when he got to the line to respond, you put the best person who's done the most practice, or who has the work ethic in that space, so that you can get what you really desire, the desired outcome. Michael Jordan, how he 12 hours a day just played basketball. Like, oh my God. Like when he was making Space Jams, but that was practice.
So if somebody threw him a ball, his reaction would be would be different because of his practice, because of all of his training, his training. Oh, that's important. His training. So if that ball gets thrown to him, his immediate reaction is going to be one that's going to give a positive response, because we're going to get that 3-point shot, because he's already practiced and he's been conditioned to have a certain type of reaction once he gets a hold of that ball.
That's right. And even I think it's called muscle memory with our bodies. Like it's just when you begin to work out, that's a response based upon a reaction. When it comes to the soulish realm,
okay,
what I have not learned how to do is discipline my emotions.
That's fair.
That I have not learned to discipline the soulish realm, the emotional part of me, my emotional intelligence, because I'm so reactionary and respond based upon how I feel rather than based upon who's leading and guiding me.
Right.
Most of my reactions and responses are from me being a carnal minded individual and forget about the lordship of Jesus Christ. If you allow me to shift in this space, and it takes time and it takes years. And Paul said, we see through a glass darkly. So this is an ever increasing walk in us to bring us to the place where when we respond from a reaction, our response should always be godly and leaning toward the person of Jesus Christ rather than the old natured me. Because now that I'm in Christ, I'm a new creature. But these are conversations that we just don't have. Here's what we say in lieu of this. Don't make me put my religion on the shelf. Don't bring out the old me. I get it. And now the meme and the TikTok is going out. Try Jesus, don't try me, because I throw these hands. I mean, you know, I love the memes. I love it. But
I love the separation that has to take place in order for us to do that. You see, even in what you said, there has to be a separation.
Yeah.
You know, and I think we get to a higher level of alignment and enlightenment when we understand that those things exist in one being. Both of those things exist in one being, and that we are always given, as I said in a broadcast earlier today, we are always given the ability to choose. The Bible says, choose you this day whom you will serve. So that means you have a choice which path you're going to take. You have a choice which response you are going to give. You have a choice in what you practice, in what type of muscle memory you create. You have a choice in that. You have a choice when you say things like you're going to put your religion on the shelf, and when you choose to throw these hands, you know, all of those things are choices. Those are choices that will further create further separation, or they will bring unity into who you are as a person spiritually, who you are as a person, you know, in your moral sense, in your body, in your humanity. When those things are in alignment, then you are less likely to take those actions that would cause further separation. Does that make sense?
Oh, you're making all the sense in the world. You know, we're psyche, body, mind, soul. You know, we are trichotomy of personalities. And all my life, when I came out of the womb, I was working on natural things. I needed natural food. I needed nature. My response was to cry. You know, I've been working on that. So I've developed that. I'm a professional in responding and reacting in a certain manner and fashion. It's when I become a believer and surrender to his lordship, do I learn, oh my God, I have to do something different now. I have to
change it up.
Oh my, you know, we having a, you know, a casual conversation, but now you telling me to present my body a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God, which is my reasonable service. I'm not ready to I've not lived my life ever since I've been born in a sacrificial mode. I've lived my life in self-preservation. So now you put a new rule in front of me and a new construct that I have to adjust and adapt to. And even my reaction to that and my response to that sometimes is very critical in my spiritual development and growth. And it's like,
Sometimes it'll cause us to run. Sometimes the
oh
reaction,
yeah,
that flight or fight thing takes place. And sometimes our immediate reaction is to run, to flee.
you're right.
And
Flee.
we're just coming to people today to invite the narrative of, between your reaction and your response, there should be a pause. Take a pause, allow a moment for a pause, because a lot can happen in that pause. We talked about that this morning with Capri Cares. A lot can happen in that pause, because sometimes I find that when I take a pause, I may be able to get a little bit more clarity on a situation when I take a pause. And clarity is just simply clearing out the clutter sometimes, right? We spoke about that too. So what do you think about that? Taking a pause.
Well, let's look at the life of Jesus on the cross. As he's dying, he took a pause. 7 words are given in that pause. The first was a word of forgiveness.
Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do. That's what
in
you're
the
speaking
pause.
of.
In the pause.
Okay.
In the pause. Between my reaction and my response. If forgiveness is not laced between, listen, if forgiveness cannot separate my reaction and my response,
right, then you might get something pretty bad, right?
Right. So between my reaction and my response, Jesus said, forgive them. And forgiveness is something I'm still working on to this day, because I need to forgive me for not forgiving them when I should have forgiven them, because me not forgiving them was really hurting me.
Right.
And that can be seasons of people's lives. People have missed out on several opportunities to grow, excel, succeed, because they didn't learn how to forgive. The Art of Forgiveness. And I will give you this book, R.T. Kendall. R.T. Kendall. R.T. Kendall. I'll say it 2 more times. R.T. Kendall. R.T. Kendall. Total Forgiveness. I commend, I commit, I commission, I congratulate. I, want you to get this in your mind, heart, and spirit. I've known 3 people that are very near and dear to me that struggled with an issue in life. But when they read that book, it literally released a burden off of them.
So the point of the book is about forgiveness. It
Total
teaches people about forgiveness. So all of these things are helping us in our spiritual growth. All of these things are helping us deal and cope. It's giving us tools for our mental health. Because at the end of the day, we talk about everything being, it's all education, yes. And we talk about the human experience being our classroom and life as our teacher. All of the things that we are addressing, whether it's the reaction, it's the pause, it's the response. We talk about training and being prepared and the preparedness. All of these things play into or take a part in our mental health, our mental wellness. So I love the fact that you have given us all of these tools today in this conversation. And I love what you're doing with Capri Cares. We're not going to prolong the time. I respect the time that you're here. And I'm so grateful that you have come on to share with us. And we're going to do this again. We're not going to leave you guys hanging. If you're listening, we are definitely going to do this again. I do have the spiritual growth series, of which Pastor Hill is not committed, but we're gonna ask Pastor Hill to come in with us on the spiritual growth series and come in from time to time and give us some knowledge and expound upon things. But more than anything, I also have that narrative and that commission to speak about mental health and mental wellness. And
Hey,
we can even call it spiritual wellness, whatever.
yeah,
But I would want you to be involved with that with Capri Cares as well.
I'm all in. Our lifestyles are busy.
Yes.
But I'm going to make it a priority.
Okay.
To definitely do this with you because I need to pursue my terminal degree. Okay. And my terminal degree, I need to get it in Christian counseling.
Okay.
So I'm going to need a space to dispense and dump some of this information, and why not do it and capture it in the moment?
That's right. That's right.
In that moment. Right. And this can be a pause so that we can truly equip and encourage and educate others about spiritual wellness. Thank you, boss lady. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I'm honored always, and I'm grateful for this friendship and relationship. And
me too.
As the old Baptist song sang this song, a charge to keep I have, a God to glorify.
A God to glorify. Okay, and on that note, we will close out. And as always, I say the human experience is our classroom and life is our teacher. And at the end of the day, it's all education. Thank you so much. Bye.